This is the part about Bernie Sanders that we are all alluding to at the top of the show. Last week, 16 Senate Democrats, including a few potential presidential candidates, flocked to support independent Senator Bernie Sanders' bill for a single-payer Medicare for all health system. And this coming Monday, Sanders will start the week with a nationally televised debate against the sponsors of the Republican bill. A Democratic source told NBC News, quote, "This is exactly the debate Graham and Cassidy want to have. Sanders is looking out for himself rather than being a team player." And former Obama spokesman Tommy Vietor tweeted, "I'm not sure single payer versus Graham Cassidy is the debate we want right now."
No,
but it seems
Tommy
to be
V is right.
Exactly the debate the Republicans want.
Yep.
In fact, Senator Graham framed their bill as the only alternative to Sanders' single-payer idea when he introduced it last week.
If you believe repealing and replacing Obamacare is a good idea, this is your best and only chance to make it happen, because everything else has failed except this approach, which will work if we get behind it. If you want a single-payer health care system, this is your worst nightmare. Bernie, this ends your dream of a single-payer health care system for America.
I cannot believe how stupid this is politically. I cannot believe that Chuck Schumer or anybody could have ever signed off on this idea where you're actually going to drive a lot of people towards Lindsey Graham's bill, because you're going to, oh, wait a second, socialism, Medicare for all, for a system we already know is going bankrupt, versus returning it all to the states and taking a chance. Well, both of them are radical. Do I want to go with the radical plan that I know is going to bankrupt America, or do we go with the radical plan that may not bankrupt? I mean, how could Bernie Sanders, how could Amy Klobuchar do this? Because it's not just the Democrats they're letting down, it's millions of people that would be hurt by the passage of the Republican bill.
Right. Here, the reality is that Medicare for All as a concept is way more popular with people in principle, and it polls much better than what the Republicans are suggesting. However, if you're Bernie Sanders right now, and you see Lindsey Graham giving that speech he just gave, which is he's baiting Sanders. He's baiting Bernie Sanders into a debate.
And Bernie took the bait.
Any halfway sane politician who sees the principal sponsor of the bill the Republicans are trying to pass, baiting him in that way, says, you know what? That guy's trying to bait me, probably for a reason. And you know what? The whole point here is to keep the focus on how bad this Republican bill is. We can have a debate later, if you're Bernie Sanders, about the virtues of Medicare for all and single payer. You might win that debate.
By the way, how about after next Saturday?
That's what I mean.
How about when the calendar's in? It's not like he's got to wait till 2019 to launch his presidential campaign.
All you got to do for this week is keep focused on how horrible this Republican bill is, and how many people across the spectrum of every stakeholder in the healthcare system is against it. Just keep talking about that. That's all you got to do. Don't take the bait.
You know how the Democrats have been touting that even the insurance companies are against Graham Cassidy? Well, if you read through what the insurance companies are worried about, part of it is that the people who have insurance now will lose it, but they're also worried about single payer. They say if you turn all this money over to the states, in blue states, you're going to end up with a single-payer system that states can't afford. There's not going to be enough money. It's going to be scarcity. People won't have coverage. So now you're going to put that back into the debate and allow people to go after single-payer.
And Caddy, there's not one sane person on the debt. There's not a Democratic economist, a moderate economist, a conservative economist, business leaders that have looked at Medicare, and they don't understand that don't understand in its current form is not sustainable. And so now Bernie's going to be going out there giving again Lindsey Graham, giving Lindsey Graham all the biggest target in the world, and suddenly his radical plan doesn't look so radical. This is I know it's been announced. The Democrats should go to Bernie and say, for the sake of us, for the sake of millions and millions of Americans that are going to lose their health care, you have to wait until after next Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you can't believe that somebody like Nancy Pelosi, and I know that the Democratic leadership has been working round the clock to make this issue front and center of people. You know, they've had to battle against Irma, they've been dealing with the hurricanes, with earthquakes, with Trump's UN speech. They've had to really work hard to try and make sure that this is getting the attention that it deserves. They've been celebrating the fact that they've got these Republican governors on board, particularly Governor Walker of Alaska. They felt that was a big moment for them. And then along comes Bernie Sanders and totally distracts the attention back onto something they just don't want to be talking about. What I don't understand is why Amy Klobuchar has signed on for this. I don't know why she's doing it.
Well, genuinely bad.
I'll say that even in the narrowest
political
sense, even in the narrowest sense for Bernie Sanders' own politics, if Bernie Sanders wants to run for president in 2020, which probably he does, maybe he does, who knows? The reality is right now the biggest weakness he has is Hillary Clinton's argument, which a lot of Democrats agree with, which is that guy's not a Democrat. He's out for himself. Right. Hillary Clinton's been saying that. There are a lot of Democrats who feel that way about Bernie Sanders. Him doing this, even just on his own narrow self-interest, is just going to make that argument more powerful for those Democrats who say, this guy's not a team player. Yeah. This guy's out for himself. So it's bad for the debate. It's bad for the party. It's bad for, it's tactically bad, strategically bad, and it's bad for Bernie Sanders even on his own narrow, selfish terms.
Wow. It really is.
Bernie,
this is going to come down.
Pull back.
This is going to come down to Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins and maybe a couple other people.
John McCain.
So they might John McCain as well. The Bernie Sanders debate is probably a bad idea. We'll stipulate that. But I don't think Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins is going to sit and watch that debate and go, you know what? Maybe Bernie's right. In other words, it's a theoretical debate that they're going to have on Monday. But where the rubber meets the road is where Lisa Murkowski votes.
But if you make it a binary choice, and there's going to be a lot of polling next week. You know, this thing's going to poll the low 20s, high teens. And that's something that John McCain, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, all these other Republicans that are right now trying to figure out which way they're going to go, they're going to look at it. And they're going to have the power to say, wait a second, you want me to go out and basically screw my legacy over a bill that 80% of Americans are opposed to? Okay, then let's have the Bernie debate, right? Just full-blown healthcare socialism versus states' rights.
Like you're presenting the bogeyman of socialism in America.
Exactly.
If you don't vote for this is what you're going to get.
Let's have that. And then suddenly, when they go to vote on Saturday, I guarantee you, John Heilman, there will be polls that show 40% of Americans support Graham's bill. Suddenly, Lisa Murkowski's thinking, wait a second, 75, 80% of Republicans in my state want me to vote for this. You talk about something that will push tribalism in these Republican states to get them on the side of Lindsey Graham at all costs. Bernie Sanders preaching socialism and health care will do that.
Just think about it this way. One of the things we've seen over the course of this healthcare debate in 2017 is that as we've debated it more and as Republican alternatives have been put on the table, all that's really happened is that Obamacare itself has gotten more popular. So you have which debate do you want, Democrats? Do you want a debate between the horrible Graham Cassidy bill and the increasingly popular status quo, the Obamacare status quo? Or do you want over 50% now? Or do you want to have a debate between the Graham Cassidy bill and this Medicare for All thing, which again, I will say is more popular than the Graham Cassidy bill, but it's not more popular than the current system. Have the debate you want to have, which is the debate between the current status quo and this horrible alternative.
Unbelievable.
It really is. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.